Good morning, first grade. So yesterday you completed 15.1. 15.1, you learned about picture graphs. Well, today for 15.2, you're going to be talking about bar graphs. So there's a difference between the two. There's picture graphs, which is what you did yesterday, and then there's bar graphs, which is what you're doing today. So I'm going to show you a quick slideshow. I'm going to give you some examples, and then you can get straight to work today, all right? So in just a second right now, I'm going to click present my screen. You're going to see my screen, and we're going to talk about 15.2, all right? So boys and girls, today you're going to be using bar graphs, all right? So there's a difference between a picture graph and a bar graph. So how are bar graphs and picture graphs different? Well, let me tell you how they're different. When we talk about a picture graph, what we do is we take everyone's votes. If I ask my friends how many people liked soccer, well, what I do is when I make a picture graph, I actually draw the picture onto the graph. So you see soccer balls here because we're drawing the picture of soccer balls in each part of the graph, right? The other part of it is that you will also see that you don't have numbers here. Sometimes picture graphs don't have numbers on there, okay? Now, the difference between a picture graph and a bar graph is what you're going to see right here. And a bar graph has coloring in it, okay? So look at the difference. When we look at picture graphs, there are pictures in each part of the square, but in bar graphs, we just use different colors. And to make sure that we're coloring up to the correct spot, you will see numbers on the side to show you where to color to. So if we look at this bar graph right now, I can tell that they colored giraffe. That means for favorite animals, there were 6 people that liked the giraffe. I stop where the color stops, okay? So if I ever asked you to make a bar graph, what you would do is you would just shade in or you would color in the bar graph. But if I asked you to make a picture graph, you would actually draw the picture into each graph, okay? So let's go over some examples of how your assignment's going to look today, and you're going to get started right after this, okay? So here we go. Let's take a look at this. The first thing is that I want to look at the title. The title says favorite pet. This means that the graph in this bar graph is going to talk about favorite pets. Notice that it is a bar graph because they shaded in the coloring for the votes of how many each person liked. So let's take a look at this. It says how many students chose cat. When I look at this, I look at the purple, and the purple has, I keep counting, it stops right here. I go all the way down, and it is 7. It stops at 7. That means that 7 people chose cat as their favorite animal, okay? Now, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 says, how many fewer students chose fish than dog? So once again, remember, if it says how many more or how many fewer, always think subtraction. They want to know how you can subtract it, okay? So let's take a look at it. We have fish and we have dog. So if we take a look at it, we know that dog, I'm going to look at the bar graph and I look at that and I say, oh, it goes all the way to the end. It stops at 8. So 8 minus, and now I'm going to take a look at fish. Remember, use the bar graph, so I take a look at fish and I see that it stops at 4. 8 minus 4. Well, I can do it a mental math, I can do it on my fingers, or I can draw, and I know that 8 minus 4 equals 4. So equals 4. So 8 minus 4 equals 4, okay? Let's take a look at the next problem. It says, which pet did 2 students choose? Well, what I know is that there's numbers on the bottom here, so I can take a look at the numbers. There's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm going to go to 2, and I'm going to go all the way up, but it seems like fish has more than 2, dog has more than 2, cat has more than 2, but, oh, bird stops at 2. That means 2 students chose bird. Let's take a look at the next one. It says, how many students chose fish and bird? Let's erase that. It's supposed to say fish. How many students chose fish and bird? So if it's asking me and, that means I'm going to add them together. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to go to fish. Fish stops at 4, so I'm going to write 4. I'm going to say plus, and I want to know how many people chose bird. I'm going to look at bird, and bird stops at 2. 4 plus 2, which equals 6. That means 6 people chose fish and bird. Now, What we can also do is we can use information like this table right here, and we can make a bar graph. Remember that a bar graph uses color, and it doesn't necessarily use pictures in it, okay? So let's take a look at this. It says, Miss Seja and Miss Amal asked their family what their favorite fruit was. And this is what happened. When I went around and Miss Seja went around, we found out that 2 of our members liked bananas. That means I'm going to take the yellow tile because yellow is banana, and I'm going to drag 2 of them. I'm not going to use all of them because there's only 2 people that voted for banana, so I'm going to drag them here. Now, when I look at the table, it says 5 people liked apples. Well, apple looks like red, so I'm going to pick red, and I'm going to put 5 that go to apple. How do I know where to stop? Well, the numbers on the side tell me where to stop. I'm on 3 now. I need to get to 5. 4, and now I'm at 5. Now let's go to the last one. 3 of our family members liked orange, so I'm going to take 3 of them, and I'm going to drag 3 of them to orange. Remember, bar graph uses color. It does not use pictures. Here we go. This is what my graph looks like. Well, I have some questions that go with my graph. So once I have completed it, and notice that I did not use all the tiles, I only used some of them, the ones that were needed, and they were told in my table right here. So I go to the next one, and it says, let's answer some questions based off of the graph. Well, I just made the graph, so let's take a look at it. Which fruit did they like the most? When Miss Seja and I did it, well, we look at the bar graph, the one that has the most was apple. That means most of our family members liked apples, okay? Now it says, how many more? Remember, if it says how many more or how many fewer, you always think subtraction. You're correct, subtraction. So how many people liked apple than banana? Well, I'm going to go back to my graph, and I'm going to look here. Apple. 5 people chose apple. Only 2 people chose banana. So I'm going to say 5 minus 2 equals 3. So 3 more people liked apple than they did like banana. Now I'm going to go to the last one right here. And it still wants me to answer questions based off of the graph. This one says, how many of the family members voted in all? Well, if I want to know that, I could just take a look at my graph and I could see where it stopped. There were 2. I can use the bar graph, or I can use the data right here. 2 people voted for banana, 5 people voted for apple, and 3 people voted for orange. So I can go back here and I can say 2 people plus, I forgot how many people voted for apple. I can just go back. 5 people voted for apple. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to put 5. And then I'm going to go back one more time to see how many people voted for orange, and 3 people voted for orange. So remember, this is adding 3 numbers together, plus 3. So 2 plus 5 plus 3. I'm going to take 2 numbers and I'll put them in my head. 5 plus 2 equals 7. I add 3 more, and I get to 10. That means 10 people voted in all. The last question says, how many people liked orange? When I take a look at this, I see, and I go to the graph, and I see it stops at 3. That means 3 people liked oranges, all right? So this is very similar to how a picture graph works. It's just a little different in the sense of how it is graphed. Pictures have pictures on it, just like the title says, and bar graphs actually are just coloring in and shading in, okay? Your assignment today is going to look similar to the one that I just explained to you. Remember, all you need to do is you need to click here and you can answer the questions. As always, I'm here to help. I can always do a live session. This is a shout out to Haya. Haya has been reaching out to me and asking to set up live sessions. If you ever do need a live session, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. Good luck, and I'll talk to you later.